Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen, and in this video I'm doing the Disney Princess book tag. I don't remember what channel I first saw this on, but it seemed like a very fun tag because I love Disney princesses. So jumping right in, the first prompt on this tag is Snow White. Pick a favorite classic book. And for me, that would be Frankenstein. I am not a big fan of classics. Really have mostly only read them when assigned for school, which was the case with this one. In college, I was in a classic science fiction literature class at one point, and this was pretty much the only one that I really enjoyed. I actually wouldn't mind owning this one. I wouldn't mind rereading this one. I think I would want a special edition just for fun. It was definitely a lot deeper and more interesting than I thought it would be based on my knowledge of Frankenstein. The original book is nothing like all the iterations we have nowadays. So yes, my favorite classic. However, my favorite classic princess would be our next princess, Cinderella. Pick a book you read past bedtime. And I am a morning person. I don't really stay up late. I'm also just not a binger in any way on any activity. There's almost nothing I sit around doing for hours at a time, but the most recent book that I binged, and it was just because I was doing a 24-hour reading challenge to force myself to binge it, was Murtagh by Christopher Paolini. And by binge, I mean it still took me a week to read this because it's a chonker, but I did read it for many hours the first day that I started the book. After that, we have Aurora, my least favorite classic princess. And her prompt is, what is a favorite romance? And one of my favorite romances, definitely my favorite romance this year, was Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. This one was just cute, and I really liked the romance in it. I'm not a huge romance nerdy, so pretty rare for me to care all that much, but this one was just really fun and cute. Up next, we have my favorite princess, classic or otherwise, and that is Ariel. What can I say? I loved the idea of mermaids, and I loved her hair. And also, I think she's a pretty misunderstood princess. Not just because of my bias, but the prompt for this one, not misunderstanding who she is pick a character who fights for her dreams. And with that one, I went with pretty much just any character in the Fashion Committee. This is a book about a prestigious arts high school that our two main characters are trying to get into, and they have a competition every year that is hosted by one of their special departments. And this year, the fashion department is hosting the challenge, and so the challenge is to design an outfit to get into this high school. And one of our characters legitimately wants to be a fashion designer and is trying to get in, and our other character just wants into this prestigious arts school but is not a fashion designer and has to try to work through that to still attempt to get into the school. Up next, we have Belle, a princess that I surprisingly could not care less about, even though I probably have the most in common with her of all of the princesses. I do have a Belle pop though. I kind of forgot that she's a Disney princess. This is like Once Upon a Time version of Belle. I took her down to put up Ariel and Tiana. I should put her back up. But the prompt for Belle is pick a book that has a smart, independent female lead. And for that one, I picked Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. This book is about a high school girl who's kind of, for the first time in her life, being introduced to the idea of feminism and is kind of becoming a bit of an advocate at her school. After that, we have Jasmine, and the prompt for Jasmine is pick a character who challenged norms. And for that one, I'm going with Shay from Uglies. Tally may be the main character, but Shay was the original driving force of the revolution. She never was down with the pretty regime, even though she did get briefly distracted by boy drama. Ultimately, she always knew there was a problem with the norms within her society, and that was always her ultimate goal, even though she kept getting held back in actually achieving anything. After that, we have Pocahontas, and the prompt for Pocahontas is pick a book with an emotional ending, and for that one, I'm going with The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This one is famously an emotional one. Next up we have Mulan, which I actually just rewatched recently. I feel like that one is a little bit underrated. The movie is so good. And the prompt for Mulan is pick a kick-ass female character. And for that one, I'm going with Spinza from Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. Spinza has a bit of a chip on her shoulder. In this series, humans quite some time ago crash landed on this planet and are constantly under attack by aliens. So the most important job you can have here is being a fighter pilot, and her dad was a fighter pilot and famously turned out to be a traitor, which she does not believe. And so she is kind of looked down upon in her society because of her traitorous dad. And so she's constantly picking fights to defend herself. Her ultimate dream is to be a fighter pilot and to, like, through her own skills, kind of redeem her dad. And she's just relentless in that goal and is a real badass, even if it's a little bit for show. And yeah, doing it all for her dad, kind of like Mulan. Next we have Tiana, another favorite princess of mine, and another, I think, even more underrated movie. And the prompt for Tiana is pick a character who chooses to follow their dreams over romance. And for that one, I'm going just with all of the girlies in The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Nazueda out here being queen, not pursuing that romance with Murtagh because she's got things to do. Arya out here being a leader among the elves, not pursuing that romance with Aragorn because she's got things to do. Angela out here being the most mysterious bitch because she's got things to do. Next up we have Rapunzel, and the prompt for Rapunzel is pick a book with an artist. And I picked a book with several artists. I picked I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. This is a book about a pair of twins who I believe are both artists, and their parents, or at least their mom, is an artist, and the sister dates an artist. There's just artists all over this book, and she apprentices with an artist. It is a huge part of the story. Next up we have Merida, and the prompt for Merida is pick a book with a mother-daughter relationship. And I went with Carmen and her mother from The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Anne Brashares. They're just incredibly close because Carmen's mother is a single mom, and their relationship is a huge part of this series. Among all of the 4 girls in these books, Carmen and her relationship with her mom is definitely the most focused on mother-daughter relationship, and Carmen has to really kind of support her mom quite a bit throughout the series. Next up is Moana, and the prompt for Moana is pick a story involving the ocean, and I went with Words in Deep Blue by Cath Crowley. And in this one of our main characters has a huge connection with the ocean. She grew up on the ocean. She and her brother spent every summer, all summer, swimming in the ocean. They were just a huge ocean family. And then her brother dies drowning in the ocean. And so she can no longer go to the ocean after that. And her journey of working through that is a pretty big part of the book. Next up we have Raya of Raya and the Last Dragon. And the prompt for Raya is pick a fictional relationship that was changed by broken trust. And for that I went with Katniss and Gale from The Hunger Games. Now, while Gale did not directly betray Katniss, he did, as the series went on, start to make decisions that Katniss fundamentally, morally did not agree with. And one of those decisions does, big spoiler alert for the final book if you have not read this series, but one of those decisions does, at the end of the series, inadvertently lead to the death of her sister. So even though it was not intentional, obviously this just completely destroys their friendship. But even without that, the two of them just had such a different way of going about the rebellion that I don't think the relationship could have lasted anyways. And then finally we have Anna and Elsa from Frozen, and their prompt is pick a sister relationship. And for that I'm going with Kath and Ren from Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is a set of twins who obviously are incredibly close, but they are quite different personality-wise. One of the twins is quite introverted, has a lot of anxiety issues, and the other twin is just the total opposite, very extroverted, very willing to try new things, and when they go to college, they end up not being roommates like they planned and drift apart more and more, as one twin enters the social scene of college and the other twin struggles to be in college at all. So a very interesting sibling relationship that goes from being very close to very far apart, and the resolution or not resolution of that is a big part of the book. So that was it for the Disney Princess book tag. Let me know down below your favorite Disney princess. I hope you enjoyed watching. Remember, words matter.